And Roger Olean had tied rope and battery cables and everything he could come up with to him and tried to swim all the way out to grab a hold of them. That was his plan, to tell them that he was coming, to give them some hope, and try and somehow drag all these people back in with him when he had a rope. He just stopped with everyone else, and he said, I stood there listening to him screaming and yelling for help. I took off my jacket and said, does anybody have a rope? And people started running to their cars and bringing everything back. He tied himself up, and they kept adding. As he swam, they kept adding. So we thought we had a victim in open water, went right to him, and all of a sudden he went backwards as they were reeling him in to get him out of the way of the rescue. So we looked and said, okay, there's one saved. Let's let him go. And then we turned to the other victims and then began systematically picking one out at a time. After they turned the camera off, Gene had opened the door. He had tied in a rope. And that was another interesting part. Our rescue equipment was the tow rope that pulled the helicopter in and out of the hangar. It was a rope that was about the size of my thumb with two metal clips on the end that we hooked on the front of the toes of the skids and pulled it in and out. That was our rescue equipment to that point. He took the throw balls, threw them in. The rotor wash blew them away immediately. As soon as they inflated, off they went. So, okay, that didn't work. That didn't work like we thought it would. So while the camera was off and before Chester turned his camera on, Gene dropped the rope to Bert Hamilton. He put it around himself. We lifted him out of the water, flew him, and as we came to the bank, there was a tree in the way. And an ambulance sitting right on the edge of the bank. So we're hovering right above the tree, and the firefighters pushed the tree over and dragged it out of the way so we could get in. And they had to find the driver of the ambulance and get him to move the ambulance back so we could actually hover over the ledge in the bank and have Bert Hamilton removed from the tow rope. So that took about 4 minutes of maneuvering and yelling on the loudspeaker and trying to, we were taking this as it came. So we dropped Bert off. He was fine. We turned, went back to the fuselage again. Gene dropped the rope. It was passed around, and then the next thing you know, Kelly Duncan, the stewardess, was the next on the rope. Now, what was scary, we later learned, was she didn't hook it around herself. She took the open rope and wrapped it under her arm twice, and the rope was hanging free. And the only thing that was holding her to the rope was it was hooked under her armpits. And somehow she kept her arms down without letting her arms go like that and the rope fly off of her. So we picked her up about 25 feet in the air and flew her to shore and dropped her off. Didn't know that she hadn't hooked the rope, that it was just wrapped around her.